Memories of you, they're pulling me down. Echoes in my mind, can't leave them behind. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth, got me losing sleep. I'm haunted by your name. Caught up in this storm, my heart can't be tamed. Feeling trapped in time, reliving the pain. Oh yeah. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth. Feeling heartache, we're breaking. Your love got me crying. Shadows fall, memories fade, but I can't let go. Your words are haunting, your lies cut so deep. Swamp donkey, monkey mouth.
Oh, that's a song written by yours truly, Jack Bravo. What's up, y'all? This is Jack Bravo on the Righteous Edge. And I want to discuss something that's kind of serious today because there has been a lot of reasoning debates. Let me put it this way, there's been a lot of debates online about why men have no right to speak on immorality when it comes to women. And the biggest reason that I've seen as to why women say men have no right to speak on sexual morality when it comes to promiscuous lifestyles of women, even those who they're considering for marriage, is they're addicted to pornography. I have to use the word pornography because if this video blows up, YouTube has a history of just shadow banning me to all heck. Look at some of my posts, you'll see like they barely even get 2 views and it be me and my wife. And I know I've showed people and told people are always hitting me up and saying, man, I didn't even see that video, I didn't even see the decade, I put the notifications on, I didn't get no notification, right? So there's often times where I gotta censor myself a little bit. But the whole discussion today is my take on pornography, the adult industry, and why I think most Christians have the wrong perspective on this. Before we even get to my perspective, let's see what I'm talking about here. So remember the debate we had last time, and it was a whole debate on men were saying they do not want to marry a promiscuous woman. They don't want to have anything to do with marrying, or they're pretty much this. Men are grossed out by promiscuity. Let's just keep it for real. Women don't want to hear that. But the example I gave in the last show is just in the same way that women think about a man when he went gay and got ran through by hundreds of dudes. That's how we feel about a promiscuous woman who has had hundreds of partners. Is in some ways that's the most equivalent way that a woman can look at it. So during that debate, what did a lot of the simps and the Christian women, the modern Christian women, say when men said they were disgusted with promiscuity? Well, let's read some of it. The prophetic patriarch says, hate on women for their sinful past, shame in their attack their testimonies, even when those women have had radical change of heart since coming to Christ. Before we read on, there's a lot of men who do that. And I don't like when men will sit up and attack a woman who's truly repentant. But what I've seen a lot of that men don't like is putting your information in the public sphere on social media and then expecting nothing but praise for it and making it a humiliation ritual for your husband. Men are not cool with that. When you say, I've had 1,000 partners and then I slowed down and settled for a Christian husband. Men aren't cool with that, and we see through it, and women love to do that. There's a video going viral right now of this black woman who said, I'm telling y'all to marry the nerd. And she's in this super fancy house in her backyard patio, bragging about how she got dug out, ran through by a bunch of dudes who used to wear dirty clothes, and it was, that's the life she used to live, and now she made the smart decision and married the nerd. That sounds terrible to most men. It sounds like you're a sucker. And so, anyways, before I get all out of bent out of shape, the second thing he says, downplay the moral harm of their own corn consumption and the damage it causes, or even justify its use, and blame women for their own sexual sins. Do men do this? Christian men, I don't think, engage in downplaying moral harm or their own corn consumption. Why do I believe that? It's because I talk to Christian men all the time, been all over the country talking to Christian men, been to Christian seminars, held Christian seminars myself, held Christian men's groups. Every one of them, every single man, Christian man that I've talked to, have all had the same point of view when it comes to adult material, looking at adult material especially. We all admit that is evil. We all have said, listen, I wish I would have never seen that. It has a destructive quality to the brain. It's degenerate. I hate it. I hate what it does to how I think. Every man has said the same thing. Every Christian man. I can't say the same for a lot of these liberal soy boy men who think it's the greatest thing ever to see a naked woman for the first time. I think that the average Christian man is not making light of the corn consumption. I think it is a problem, but I have a different take on it than most. So then we continue. He talks about that. Lizzie, I think we are understanding how sexually degenerate. My fault. I think we're underestimating how sexually degenerate the young men are too. The women aren't just sleeping with themselves. The young men are whoring around too, and those who aren't are addicted to corn. And very few are leading purity when it comes to dating. The statistics are in. A lot of men are addicted, even in the church, to pornography. A lot of men. I'll tell you what helps me in that department. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I'm the dude who can just teach a seminar on these type of things, but I can say there are things and ways of thinking that help me, and a system that I try to use to keep myself accountable and keep other men accountable. But that's what she says. The reason why you can't speak up about promiscuity because you're being a hypocrite. Young men are addicted. You see the part I highlighted. Here we go at the end. Pretending like we have a generation of chaste, holy young men while the women are whores is just lying to ourselves about the real state of society. Men are in a terrible spot in desperate need of Christ. I want you to think, is that true? Because on these shows, on the Monday shows, we try to go a little bit deeper. I try to relax a little bit more, even though my personality is very like loud and obnoxious. But in these type of shows, I want people to be able to look and see how I do research and how do I come about with my ideas. So she says this, and you got to think. I want you to think to yourself, does she have a point there? Should men shut up and clean up this addicted to adult material mindset they have? Troy, I can't help but wonder if many commenters hating on this guy for marrying this woman have kept themselves pure when it comes to pornography. Or are some sins okay and forgivable, but not others? So you see, there's a theme here. It's constantly coming up as a reason why men cannot correct women. You say that you have all these criticism for the modern woman, but you're addicted to pornography. Here we go. Given the prevalence of pornography amongst men, including those in the church, I can tell you very few are pure. The ones that are probably humbled enough to avoid commenting and calling out her past. Nearly every person calling her a whore has a corn problem. And this is Ryan Duff. For those who, it's this guy. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking, is there a how should Christians approach this? Should it be that men can't say anything if they have a pornography problem, or is the view of pornography a big thing that we have to address before we address anything else? Are we looking about it the wrong way? And I think that most women have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to pornography. Most women have no idea. And they try to address things to make it an equal playing field. But I'm going to try to show you guys how we should view this and why. Well, yeah, I'm going to go into it right now, but I'm going to talk about why I have a soft spot for a lot of men who are addicted and why I think women will probably never understand this, but they would if it was women. And here's the reality. Say you have a girl and she's 10 years old. And the moment she turns 10, 11, 12, in that age range, a dude comes around and he's nicely dressed. He's, everything you would want a man to be. Clean cut. Maybe he looks like Clav. Clean cut. He talks well. And he can every day he's like, you know what? Hey, all you gotta do is show a little skin on OnlyFans and it's a very respectable thing. Show a little skin on OnlyFans. Matter of fact, if you come work for me, we could make a lot of money together. You don't have to tell your parents about it. I got a fancy car. I can take you out every Friday, maybe, or I'll come pick you up while your parents are asleep. Just sneak out. And the next day he comes back, he does the same thing. And the next day he comes back and he does the same thing. And every time you are not with your daughter, she's with this guy. Okay? Everywhere she goes, he's popping up saying, and you have no idea. This is your baby, your precious little girl. And you have no idea that he's coming around and whispering these things in her ear for her to become an OnlyFans prostitute. And she's 11. She doesn't know much about sexuality at all. Now, then maybe he leaves and she says, you know what? My parents wouldn't be satisfied with that. Another guy, just as good looking, comes around and he says, I know you're only 11, but if you just come work for me and do some sexual dances, here, I'll show you. I'll show you other little girls doing it. And he shows her and she's enticed because he says, look how much money you can get. Look at the lifestyle you can lead. I don't seem like a bad guy, do I? Look at me. Look at all the people that's cool with me. And he leaves and she deals with that day in and day out as an 11-year-old. And every day it's a new guy. Every day she's being enticed. Every day money's being thrown at her. Every day somebody with a fancy car is driving up to her saying you can have the lifestyle you always dreamed of at 11. Who would trust an 11-year-old to make that good decision? Who would trust a 10-year-old to be able to put up with that type of pressure? Say 10 guys come up to her at once and they're all surrounding her and they say, listen, all you got to do is do this. All you have to do, I know you're only 11, I know you're only 12. Listen, this is something that will make your life better. Here's the website. I can show you with the step by step. Oh, you don't know how to read that well? We can read it to you. Come on, little Sarah. It's no big deal. And everywhere she turns, when she go in the grocery store, they're still there. And somehow when she looks and sees it, no one else is around to help her fight these men off. No one. Her father just magically disappears. Her mother magically disappears. No one is there but her and these men every time they come around. She gets out the car, they're there. She goes to the gym. Well, why would she be going to the gym at 11-year-old? But say she goes with her parents to the store and they're there. Everywhere she goes, billboard signs, pictures of the guy offering her. Everybody, every Christian with a right mind would say that little girl is being groomed. Would you not say that? Who wouldn't say that? Let's take it out, but stop trying to figure out where I'm going with this. And just think if there were men coming around trying to entice this little 10-year-old and 11-year-old to join this sexual promiscuous lifestyle, we would say this young girl is being groomed. Why is nobody around to help this young girl? She's obviously being groomed. Maybe she can fight it off at 11-year-olds the first day, but what about day 365? Can she fight it off that day? And you would be like, dude, it's inappropriate for this grown man to be talking to this 11-year-old about something sexual. That's insane. This little girl doesn't even know what this is. He's enticing her to do these gross things, and then by the time he's a pimp is what he is. That's what he is. He's a pimp. He's trying to pimp out this little kid. What type of sicko would pimp out a little girl who knows no better? Everyone and a mom. Hold on, I'm gonna have to add this link to X because people don't even know I'm live right now. And I pretty much sometimes I do that on purpose to see if I can get new viewers without depending on the same people. Everyone would think this little girl is a victim. She's a victim. Say she did, okay? Say by age 14, she's in the lifestyle now. She started OnlyFans, and this dude is her digital pimp. Everyone would look at him and say, what a despicable man. He deserves death for bringing this little girl into this sexualized lifestyle. She didn't even go looking for this. This man enticed her into it. We would all say that. Now the question is that, and you guys, if you got any type of intelligence, you will be able to know where I'm going with this. Some of y'all know where I'm going with it. So I'm gonna pull it up on screen. The average age which boys first see pornography is typically around 11 to 13 years old, with recent large-scale studies converging about 12 overall, and often slightly earlier for boys. The world is bent against young men, and we don't want to admit it. So all this, whoa, you should just get over your pornography. Yeah, it's easy to say. It's easy to say when you see a 30-year-old who is upset, but he was addicted at age 11 by means he didn't even go out and look for. Where I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove that most young boys are not going and seeking this stuff out because they're little perverts. The world has spun it like that. But I'm telling you, Satan has an agenda for the young men. And we need to stop looking at it as they're all sick perverts who are just addicted to gooning online, instead of looking at how they're being enticed by satanic agendas before they even know what sexuality is. they being brought into this. That's sick, man. It's sick to think about that is people out there purposely aiming for these young boys and nobody cares. All they hear online from the Christian community is just stop looking at it. You would never say that to a young girl who was enticed at 11. You would say, how can we get you some help? I feel so sorry you were enticed at this age. You didn't even know what you were looking at. You're a victim. Now, I'm not going as far as to say men are a victim because I believe life is unfair. Let me talk to y'all real quick. I believe life is unfair. And it's nobody else's responsibility to fix your problems. I would say that straight out. Any man who's addicted to pornography is nobody else's problem but yours. You can see the world don't care about you. You can see modern Christian women don't give a crap about you. It's not going to change. They're not going to change and they're not going to feel sorry for you. I feel for you, and that's why I'm making this video. I feel for you, and that's why I want to help you. I feel for you, and that's why I see these things poking out, and I'm like, no, man, this is not right how they're being treated. I feel for you. But the rest of the world don't give a crap. They don't care about you. And I'm not saying that as an alienation. Only I care. God cares. God cares and he knows your struggles. He knows how hard it is to be a young man. As a man myself, the first time that I ever seen adult material, I didn't go searching for it. I still remember that video. It's burned into my mind. I didn't seek it. I was in a Christian home. My parents sifted through every movie. My mom wouldn't even let us watch movie with too much profanity in it. She would cut it off in the middle of the movie if they dropped an F-bomb. This is how bad this is how bad it was. We would bring video game magazines home, Game Informer. Who remember that? And any sexual picture on there, my mom would cut it out. Before we could read it, she would go through it. So they did the right thing. Guess what? Guess what? You can't protect your kids from everything. I still happen to see it and I wasn't searching for it because the world is wicked and they were trying to entice young men to look at adult material. And it's sad to think that we just look at young men who are enticed at the age 11 and 12 and say, just stop. You're sick. You're perverted. They didn't even know what they was looking at when they got addicted. They didn't even know. The first time I saw it, I was like, what is this? Is that what that is? And then I was hooked. I was hooked. I was like, what is this? I didn't know things worked like that. And I'm sure every man, young man, has a similar experience. And so I feel for these young men because it ain't just them going out and being perverts. Now, some people are, right? Some people they get to age 18 and they just like, yeah, man, girls. I get it. And some dudes are even at the age of 14, 15 when they should know better. They have had to talk. They go out and search for it. They do. Many men, they have no excuse because they went out and they searched for it. And then they found what they found and now they're enticed and they're stuck in a snare. And then there's many men, I think a lot more than we want to admit, that have come across it and it wasn't their fault. How do we know that? For context, from a 2023 Common Sense Media report on U.S. teens aged 13 to 17, the average reported age of first viewing online adult material was 12, with 54% having seen it by age 13 and 15% age 10 or younger. Boys tend to report earlier and more intentional exposure than girls. Other studies, include international ones, place boys' first exposure around 10 and 11 on average, with girls closer to 12 or 13. Exposure is often accidental via pop-ups, social media, or weak age gates on sites, meaning like they don't really, you might not even know what you're clicking on, but it just says, are you 18? And you say yes. Through rates of intentional viewing rise quickly. These figures have held relatively steady or slightly declined in age due to smartphones and social media, but the pervasiveness remains high. By the late teens, 75% of boys have seen it. The corn industry employs highly sophisticated data driven tactics that critics describe as predatory because they deliberately exploit adolescents developing brains, natural sexual curiosity, and limit impulse control to hook users early and create lifelong paying for ad viewing customers. Here's what I learned, and this is just like previous studies that I did. Did you know a lot of our websites, whether it be like Amazon or YouTube, or a lot of our fast loading video websites, learned a lot from the corn industry, from the adult industry? You know how you see something and you addicted and you're like, whoa, now look at, let's watch that video and let's watch this video. And now I can buy this. And oh, I'm looking for a pencil. Now it gives an option of 6 different pencils to buy. The corn industry introduced a lot of those things, studying the male mind and female mind and how it is to get somebody to click on something. They take advantage of that. Aggressive algorithm escalation and infinite scroll recommendations. Site like this one uses machine learning algorithms that track viewing habits in real time and push increasingly extreme, violent, niche or niche content. Aggression, non consensual themes, or taboo categories to combat decentralization and keep users engaged for longer. This creates tolerance. What starts off soft content quickly ramps up because of the brain's reward pathway. Dopamine surges, demanding more intensity for the same hit, especially potent in partially developed adolescent brains. Poor performative age gates combined with accidental exposure funnels. This is important. How do they get them hooked at an early age? If you think these companies are great, if you think, oh, yes, a consenting adult should be able to do what consenting adults do, realize they're aiming this stuff at kids. And they want your kid to be hooked for life. Every man, we just don't talk about it. Every man saying something he shouldn't have seen at an early age and knows what it is and can remember it like the back of his hand. Every man has dealt with this, and people just make light of it. Many free tube sites, they ask, are you 18? Click throughs that are easily bypassed. Content is seeded into non adult spaces, games, social media, algorithms, tampered media, so boys stumble upon it without searching. Then the platform recommendations lock them in. Tell me that's not true. Hero Forge said, how's it going, Jack? No glasses today. Looks good on you. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping in. This is what really bothers me. Then the platform recommendations lock them in. Industry insiders have noted that this is a way to secure lifelong clients by hijacking natural curiosity before real world sexual experience. That's crazy, man. They study, these people have more money than you can think of, and they're studying how to get people addicted. And they're doing it. Data farming and hyper personalized marketing. Major platforms meticulously track demographics, geography, preferences, and even device data to refine content, suggest it, and create a safer work viral campaign that normalize corn in mainstream media. This fuels targeted ads and keep free content flywheels spinning for ad revenue. PR normalization and fun and edgy branding stunts. Companies run high visibly campaigns at Times Square billboards, snowplow ads, free premium during lockdowns, celebrity tie-ins, beach cleanups, bee hub saving promotions or bee saving promotions. to rebrand corn as cheeky, philanthropic, and educational rather than harmful. This counters criticism and makes it culturally acceptable for young males. Some executives have openly discussed using data for shareable, safe for work content to spark conversations. Social media and gaming infiltration. Algorithms or platforms popular with the boys push suggestive thumbnails, clickbait, or direct links, free teasers, and cross platforms exploit peer pressure and dopamine for likes and shares. These tactics are profitable precisely because they target the adolescent's brain plasticity and reward sensitivity, turning curiosity into compulsion faster than adults. This stuff is sad to read because you kind of wonder, dang, what is going on with these young men? Why are they addicted? Instead of sitting there and saying, you can't say anything. Well, what you should do is see what's really going on with the young men. Why are young men addicted to this stuff? Some related lesser known facts and statistics: high accidental exposure and sex ed misconception. 58% of teens report first seeing corn by accident. Among those who've seen it, 78% they used it to learn about sex. That's crazy. School devices and violent content. 44% of teens um, in a 2022 survey assessed corn on school issued devices. Rapid escalation in brain effects. Prolonged use leads to dopamine tolerance that requires more extreme material, blunting pleasures from real life intimacy and raising risks of compulsive behavior. Industry scale youth focus. Platforms actively promote deviant content via algorithms to maximize dwell time. And then the broader youth impacts. 15% of boys in some surveys report seeing child pornography, imagery online. This is crazy because here's the thing, man. People don't want to talk about it because it's a shameful thing. It's a very shameful thing. But I'm going to show you, let me show you guys something before we even continue. How do they get these young boys involved? Let's look at some stuff. Look at this. I want you to just think about this. Think about what she's saying. Now, keep in mind, who is this young girl? This is Ariana Grande when she was young and she was on some Disney Channel crap. Let's just see what she's saying. Now, look at where she's at now and how sexualized her stuff is and how demonic her stuff is. But let's look and see what she was saying before when she was a little girl, knowing that little kids are watching this content.
Said something like a sentence and thought to yourself, wow, like I bet nobody else on earth has ever said those exact words that I just said. That happens to me a lot. So now, just for fun, I'm gonna say 3 sentences that I bet not one person has ever said before in the history of mankind. Sentence number 1. Oh man, my uvula got stuck between that hamster's toes.
Okay, what is this weirdo stuff she's talking about?
See? That could never happen because your uvula is that swingy thing in the back of your throat right here.
Okay, y'all see what I'm saying? What is this? And what's the point of this? And kids are watching this and they don't know what she's talking about, but they know something is off because kids are not stupid.
So there's no way you could get it stuck between a hamster's toes. Sentence number 3. Ah! I'm soaking wet! Quick, somebody bring me the ocean! No.
What does that even mean? Okay? Without sexual content, how would that sentence even make sense? If you think that they're not putting this stuff in kids' material, You're wrong because kids are smart enough to say, something's not right about that. And then they repeat the phrase. And then one of the kids out of 100 who does know or who is messed up or has seen something they shouldn't have seen will tell the other kids, oh, that means this. And then they go search for it.
No one would ever say that. Why? Because if you were soaking wet and you were upset about it, the last thing you'd want is for somebody to bring you the ocean. Because the ocean is even more wet than even the wettest person in the world. Have you ever tried to get...
What does that mean? Somebody explain to me what this means. And this is how they entice young people to get involved in this stuff. And you could think I'm reading into it, but somebody explain to me what that possibly means then.
Get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out.
What's the point?
Sometimes
And to me,
I
like,
wonder...
whoever looks, first of all, it's two different things that's going on here, right? And they're both perverted. One, there's adults who will watch this stuff for some type of weird gratification, and those people need to be put on a wall and taken care of, if you know what I mean. And then there's another group of people, which are the little kids who are watching this and they're getting introduced and they're like, I don't know what's going on, but this is weird, but it's enticing and I don't know why. But this is kids material. What is she doing?
If you can get juice from a potato.
What is this? You want to explain this to me? Can somebody explain it to me? Without knowing, like, even when your mind is not dirty, because there's some people who can make a sexual joke out of anything. But what else can you make of this?
Is it possible for a teenage girl to drink water upside down?
Why would you even wonder that? And y'all know where it's going. It's like the reason why I'm showing it this stuff is because I believe anybody who watches this channel will know better and they'll be like, dude, this is some perverted crap. They're trying to entice young people into thinking in a way that they otherwise would not have thought. But if you think about how evil it is that they're enticing them and trying to funnel them into adult material, you got to understand this is how. This is how. And then you want to sit up here and act like, oh, men just came to these understandings on their own. No, these little kids were funneled into this stuff as little kids. The girls too. But guess what? The girls are not called evil. Only the men are.
I'm thirsty.
What's the point of this? Well, how is this funny? If you found your daughter doing this for a video or for YouTube or for TikTok, would you be cool with this? As a man, be for real, be super for real. Any man watching this who will ever see this video, if you saw your little girl doing this in a room in front of a live camera, what would you think?
It's not possible.
What is she simulating? What's going on there? And the thing is, maybe she's too young at the time to even know what she's doing, but somebody know. Somebody know. You got to think, for all the writers in the newsroom, for all the people who came up with this little skit, nobody crossed their mind like, this is kind of sexual in nature. It shouldn't be done. Nobody. And y'all mean to this is why my kids, they don't be around a lot of other kids unless they vetted and they go like to my church or something, like, because I don't want kids that have this type of material in their head and think this is normal introducing my kids to material like this. No, man, this stuff is gross.
Even me in a video. Come on, give up the juice.
Here's the thing, somebody told her to say these things. Somebody told her to say these things. And it's like, here, the thing about it is, when the more you think about it, the more evil it is. And you wonder where are these Epstein people coming from? Dude, they're all among us. Dude, they're all among us. These people is into some weird stuff. And you got to really protect your kids out here, because what we're talking about today is the fact that a lot of young men, when they were first introduced to a lot of the adult material, they didn't have a choice. And now imagine this, right? This is what I want you to think about. So you, as a young man, stumbled upon an adult video, and then it has a lot or very similar like this video you just saw. Say you stumbled upon it by accident and you said, "Oh, that's not right." And you turn it off. And then you turn on this and you see her doing stuff like this. What's a young man to do? He can't escape it. Because that's what this material is for. It's not to be, it's like an inside joke to people who already know what she's doing.
Can you imagine what life would be like with hippopotamus teeth?
Oh, even worse. But let's read on first. Specific marketing tactics used by the pornography industry to attract young boys and minors. Free teaser content and homepage enticements. Corn sites prominently display explicit images and short streaming video clips and live sex previews right on the landing page, often with minimal performative I am 18 click throughs. This hooks the curious or accidental visitors immediately. You think they're not doing that? My fault, I got it where y'all can't even read it. You think they're not doing that on purpose? Do you think these people who make millions and millions of dollars and pay everybody to even review their videos to make sure they're okay on their little tube sites? We talked about that in one of the last videos. You think out of the gazillion dollars they make, in billions in many cases, that they don't know what they're doing? SEO manipulation with innocent and popular search terms. Operators. They use everyday words and phrases. IG game titles, celebrity names, common kid searches, or misspelled variants. That happened to me when I was a little kid. I went to a site and I thought I was going to one site and another site popped up. I know y'all know of men that's happened to. And before you can't unsee something is the thing. That's the danger of it. You can't unsee it once you see it. And Satan knows that, and it's satanic what they do. Misspelled variants that drive traffic from search engines and redirect it to corn, stealth, or corn napped domains. Pop up ad banners. This happened to my kids. Not in a way to where it was like straight up pornography, but in a way where I was like, what is this questionable stuff on the side of the website? Because they were looking for anime. They're nerds just like I am. They love anime, they love manga, stuff like that. Going to and searching for an anime or something like that online, and next thing you know, on the side banner is some sexual girl in a bikini in this super explicit, super unnatural body anime shaped girl. And it's like, yo, man, I got immediately angry when I saw it because I'm like, what you trying to entice my children? I was angry when I saw that. And then I was like, okay, we can't. Y'all going and then I started making rules because I was like, no, y'all can't search for this type of thing. Cause they were immediately like I was right there, thank God. But because imagine all it takes is curiosity to click on that sidebar. What is that? And you click on it, and then you're seeing something you've never seen before. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And here's the thing, it's going to happen to all of our kids eventually, and you got to build them up to where at least they have the mental fortitude and the biblical strength to be able to fight some of these things, because Satan is attacking them from all sides. How do you get away from this stuff? I remember we used to go when I was little, and this is a story from just showing my dad's character. Is some stores he wouldn't go into because the magazines, even the celebrity magazines, was too much for him. He wouldn't go. Remember Blockbuster? This showing how old I am. Remember Blockbuster? He wouldn't go into Blockbuster movies. We would rent movies like every Friday night, and we would go and get Star Wars or what's that other weird movie we would love to Never Ending Story. We would rent stuff like that and have a movie night or whatever. And when we go in there, my dad wouldn't go in there. He said it just was too much of a temptation for him to see all the movie posters and the sexual stuff and all the, stuff from before he was saved or whatever. He said that just was too much for him. And I always people would think, "Oh, that's a sign of weakness. You can't control your lust," like these idiot modern women say. "Oh, it's a man. It's up to a man to control his lust." A man controls his lust by walking away. A true man doesn't want to see it. So that's why he's asking you not to wear your skin tight clothes, not to wear your leggings. Because the way a man controls his lust is by running away. And guess what? We can't run away from everything. So we're just asking for a little bit of help. That's it. And so I always had respect in my dad that he did that. I always was like, man, if somebody as strong as the hero that I look up to can't stand against this stuff, there's no chance for me to stand against it. So I always knew that, yo, this is nothing to play with because my dad exhibited that in front of me. He was like, I'm not even going to play with it. Y'all pick out a movie and I'll be, my mom used to go in there with us and my dad would stay outside. He knew what his struggles were. And it reminds me of the verse that says, if your hand causes you to sin, cut it out. If your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. Sometimes you do. That's an extreme example to teach you a lesson. There's some stuff in your life you got to cut out if you want to be following the will of God. You do. It's hard. And women aren't making it easy nowadays. Even now, with my job, I got to go to place to place to place. And sometimes people are dressing in such an inappropriate way that I'm like, I have to do my job. I can't not talk to them. So it's very, very difficult in some ways as a man. And women, what irritates me about the modern woman is they don't want to understand what men go through. They rather just demonize you for going through it. Even if it started as addiction at 11 years old. They don't give a crap about what you've been through. They don't give a crap that you have been enticed. They don't give a crap that this stuff has been pushed into front of your face for most of your life. So you got to find men that understand. And even if you have a good wife, I don't recommend you telling her about your struggles then either. You need to talk to other men. And the reason why is because that's too much and too heavy of a burden for normal women to deal with. They don't need to know, you know what? I looked up BBWs online. They don't need to know all your sexual escapades. I looked up girls with slimy foot fetishes. They don't need to know. Though now somebody gonna think that's what I'm into. I'm not, but I'm just saying, no one needs to know those things other than your brothers that you trust because it's too much of a burden for most women. They don't understand it. They will never understand it, and a lot of them will use it against you. It's such a weakness for a man that I think a lot of women don't even understand how sexually enticing the female form is and how we gotta the hurdles a man has to get over just not to look. And they're gonna say women struggle with it too. Not to the degree men do. We have 17 times the testosterone y'all got, which what it does is it fuels us with sexual urgency and rage. You have no idea. And it's worse and worse the more, like you closer to your like 24. The further and further you get away from it, it's somewhat goes down a little bit, but not much. Especially if you stay in shape and you stay in, eating the right things and stuff. Then your testosterone will pretty much stay up. But the thing about it is, they don't understand, and I recommend you getting a male group, men who, even as embarrassing as it is, you can tell about these things if you do make a mistake, if you do slip up, if you do find yourself thinking about stuff you shouldn't be thinking about. I don't recommend telling your wife. I know people won't agree with that. You should tell your wife everything. No, I don't agree with that. It's something stuff I'm guarantee you she may say she want to hear, but she don't want to hear it. She don't need to know your fetishes and all this goofy stuff that you looked at online before you met her. She don't need to know that. All it does is burden the woman down, and trust me, she don't want to know. She don't need to know. You need to talk to your other brothers in Christ about it. And I really do believe that, man. So let's go to this other video before we. When you talk about stuff in kids' movies, kids' shows that is funneling them into adult material, think about this. And think about it from an adult's perspective. And what could the artist and the writers be trying to portray?
The Ren and Stimpy Show.
What shall we do now?
We might have missed it as kids, but there's little doubt about Ren and Stimpy's romantic preferences.
Stimpy. I love this.
If you need irrefutable evidence, this scene says it all as Stimpy plays with his new friend, Sven. Getting close in a litter box, Stimpy shuts the closet door so he and Sven can have some private playtime.
Think about this before the next scene. Come on. So he's got a friend, and Ren and Stimpy got some weird stuff in it, dude. Straight up weirdo stuff. Anybody who's dude, I seen some scenes from there and I was like, what? But anyways, think about this. This is a children's cartoon. In order for him to have some privacy, they close the door to the closet. And then think about what he says next.
Hi. This is private.
Although we don't see what happens, their risque descriptions of juggling and sword swallowing really challenge what you can get away with on a cartoon show.
And I'm a sword swallower. Whoops.
Don't drop.
Think about that. Think about that for a second. Think about how perverted that is. So what they do, the two characters close the door, and one of them is juggling balls. And the other one says, I'm a sword swallower. Two male characters, by the way. You don't think this is like an agenda? That's kind of nasty if you really think about it, dude. It's like funny to pervert adults who like to introduce kids to stuff, but it's not funny to me. I don't think that stuff is funny. Like, I'm all about gay jokes like the next person is to other adults. But saying you're a sword swallower and juggling balls to a kid after they close the closet and you hear some man choking on something, that's sick, man. What do you want kids to get from that? What do you want them to take away from that and say, wow, that was really funny? What's funny about it? All right, here's another one. Hold on. Is this the right view? Whatever.
Sharpener, the Powerpuff Girls.
Hello, Mayor.
For a show that looked like sugar, spice, and everything nice, the Powerpuff Girls sure did work in a lot of racy jokes. Did you ever notice when Buttercup slipped condoms into Professor Utonium's pocket?
And cologne, breath mints, and cufflinks, and some of these.
How about the time the girl
There's something like what do they want kids to pick up on with that?
girls tried to determine the gender of a nutty squirrel?
Squirrels eat nuts, stupid!
Girls?
Or that time a little girl told the professor she was an accident.
He made us in his laboratory by accident.
Well, what can I say?
Don't worry, Professor. I was an accident too.
Even those
I don't think that one was that bad, but you get the point.
risque moments can't compete
This one's
with
bad.
this scene though, as the attractive Miss Bellum causes the mayor to break his pencil.
Good day, Miss Bellum. How is every little thing?
In what might be the most salacious image in the entire series, the secretary takes her boss's hand and whips out the pencil sharpener.
Here, let me help you with that.
The expression on the mayor's face says it all.
Miss Bellum, is there something on your mind?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Why is she talking like that? I'm so glad. Who is in any doubt that that's sexual? Who has any doubt that that's sexual in a kids show? And then what are they simulating with that? If you don't know, then you don't know. But if you do, then it's like, what in the world is that about with kids? What in the world do kids got to do with that? All right, so what? Let's see if it's this one. Lawsuits. Because if you think I'm just pulling out random stuff, there have been lawsuits over this very thing by these corn industries, these adult industries, for those who think, oh, men should just stop. Yes, they should stop. Yes, they should stop. But it's hard work because they have been targeted at a young age. And if women were targeted at the young age of 11 or 12, we would not be treating them with so much disdain and not talking so bad where it's like, just stop. Shouldn't have anything to say about anything. Yeah, you've been, pushed this stuff since you were 11. Just shut up about it. Shut up about anybody doing anything else wrong. I don't think so, man. Lawsuits related to these issues. And then most of them have to do with implementing age verifications. Multiple US states, Texas, Florida, Kansas, India, have sued major corn distributors. All of these websites right here. For violating state age verification laws, claiming these sites lacks gates and accessibility and expose minors to harmful content. Penalties sought to include daily fines up to $10,000. That ain't nothing for them. The adult industry, via groups like Free Speech Coalition, has countersued states, arguing age verification requirements violate the First Amendment. They are overboard or a burden to adult privacy. Some challenges reached the United States Supreme Court. Nonprofits like the National Center on Sexual Exploitation have filed suit on behalf of afflicted minors and parents for noncompliance with verification laws. International actions of the EU, blah, 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 similarly focus on inadequate minor protections. They don't care because they're making so much money. Once you get somebody addicted, they're addicted for life. They're addicted for life. So, prevalence and you know what, should we look at another video? Look at this. I want y'all to just look and see what is even the joke here, other than just exposing kids to sexual degeneracy. So far, everybody is enticed by this girl in her towel, right? And I think this is from like Animaniacs or something, an old cartoon. Everything I showed you is from times I was a kid. So the men we're dealing with have watched these type of things. What is it funneling you into? Let's look.
Hello, nurse.
Can a girl get any privacy?
So there's a silhouette of a naked anamorphic character, and you wonder why these weirdos is into all this weird stuff now, where they dressing up as furries and goofy stuff like that. There's a silhouette of a nude creature with feminine traits, curvy, and these sexual saxophone music. And she finally takes off her clothes and she gets into the water. What's the joke? Like usually kids' cartoons have a punchline. What's the punchline here? other than just showing kids sexuality and then the men got their tongues hanging out. What do you learn from that as a young man? What do you learn? Like, somebody explain to me, what is the point of that scene? And I really believe that there's a satanic agenda to funnel men and make them addicted for the rest of their life. Let me see here. This basically goes into addiction and addiction indicators. I just only thing I really care about is this part right here. Early exposure link. Studies show younger first exposure before 13 correlates with more frequent current use, longer sessions, need for escalation, extreme content, higher odds of problematic patterns, perceived addictions, all these different things when you start early. So they want you to start early. That's what they want you to do so that you can be addicted, so that you can be a loser, so that you never have any chance of giving it up, so that you can be a slave to sin for the rest of your life. And here's what I'll say, and this is like one of the things I want to go into because, okay, so what's the solution? What should men do? And I'll tell you what helps me. One, and this is the most important, knowing Jesus Christ. The Bible says, how can a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed according to your word. When I'm reading the word, when I'm staying in the word of God, when I'm meditating on the word of God, I find it easier to abstain from lust. Second thing that I do is I have a friend group. I have people around me that I know I can talk to, whether it's my dad, my brother, friends. They might not even know about other Christians that they don't, that they, sometimes the group is from here, sometimes the group is from there. And you be accountable to that group. That's hard to do. That's one of the hardest things you have to do. I remember having to go in front of, the men, not necessarily the men in my church, but talking to the men in the church and just saying, and we all let our struggles out. We all would just, put it all out there and say, listen, man, sometimes when I be up late at night, this is a struggle for me. And we discuss it and we talk about it, and not necessarily in every single, detail, but we talk and we just say, listen, this is something that we're struggling with. And you got men that you can talk to, not women, men. Iron sharpens iron, and what men become great men in the presence of other great men. And so that's number two. The third thing, and this is where people will get mad at me. Any person who lives a promiscuous lifestyle, any person who thinks we have to love everyone, I'm gonna tell you what helps me. It's developing a healthy hate. And I really mean that. I'm talking about further than a disgust. I'm talking about when I see a girl dressing like a whore, I hate it. When I see somebody trying to entice me, I hate it. And if you try to get in between me and my family and what I've built and the legacy I have, I hate you. You're not going to try to entice me. The Bible puts it this way: why should you be entwalled or intertwined or connected to a prostitute? And men, I'm going to go into detail. I hate the horrific stuff that's going on online. And when I say whore, I mean whore. They disgust me. And I make myself disgusted. Not, oh, we have to look at them as just they're just misinformed. No, I hate the things they stand for. I hate that they want to enslave my sons. I hate that they want to destroy my marriage. I hate that they want to get every man enslaved for the rest of their life. I hate that they get money from simp men and turn men into simps that can't even think on their own. I hate that they control this country. They're destroying this country and that people vote for it. I hate that we have a whole generation of girls going to OnlyFans rather than become mothers. rather than become wives. I hate it. And I make myself hate it. I make myself hate it by reminding myself of the evil that is done to me, the evil that is done to my friends, the lives I've seen it destroy. There's people that would be at church, but they were involved in infidelity. There's people that could come to a knowledge of Jesus Christ, but they rather be out there playing the field because they were enticed by lust. There's hours and hours of my life that I can't get back because my mind was a slave to this stuff. And the thing about it is, when you look at it with such hatred, so much so that I would say is more healthy to hate a whore and be abstained from pornography than to love the whore and be involved in pornography. Put it away from you. Look at it with such disgust that you want no part of it. Here's one thing that disgusts me about what's enticing these men to OnlyFans. And what the way I think about it, and I really think about it this way. I'm not just saying this to y'all. I look at these women as disgusting because they use men and they don't have an ounce of love for them. These men will give down to every dime they got to merely speak to these women, and these women, if they could, would urinate on you. They don't care an ounce about you. I don't look at them as misguided. I look at them as evil. They want nothing for you but your destruction. If they heard you die the next day, they would laugh and go to the next person. If they heard that your father was addicted, they would laugh. If they heard that he gave his last dime and he couldn't feed his family, they would laugh at you. You don't believe me? Go watch some of these shows where these OnlyFans girls is talking about how they steal men's money, how they have pay pigs, how men pay them for humiliation rituals. These women don't give a crap about you. They're evil. And I know some men say, well, we got to love them out of it. That's for you. It ain't for me. That's for you. It's not for me. Because for me, I have to have a healthy hate in order to avoid these women. I have to look at them with disgust. Otherwise, I'll fall right back into it thinking I could beat a friend. I can't. Not for me. It's for somebody else to witness to them. It's for somebody else to go and say, oh, let's love you and pray together with these OnlyFans girls. It ain't for me. I have to be disgusted by it for the sake of my marriage, for the sake of my children, for the sake of the things I'm building. I cannot have anything to do with it. When I look at the videos and I see these girls doing these sexualized dances, I have to hate what they're doing. I look at it with disgust. In my head, I'm saying, what a dirty, disgusting whore. I don't want my daughter to be like that. Some men don't have to do that. I do. And so that's one of the main things that keep me from thinking this way. Now, some men can't think like that because they have dehumanized people to the point where they're like, yeah, man, she's a piece of meat. And so I don't look at her as a human being. I'm saying look at her as a human being that's trying to do you dirty. Look at her as a person who is, yes, completely made in the image of God and chose to do evil. Put it this way. This is another way I think about it. Would you ever get along with somebody who is trying to get you to defecate on a picture of your father, to urinate on a picture of your mother, and they just kept trying to entice you to, you would be like, dude, I love my mom. I love my dad. Why would I ever do that? And why are you trying to get me to do that? And that's the same way I think about these women trying to entice me to destroy my family and to destroy my relationship with God. Why are you trying to get me to do something so vile to the one I love? You have to think like that because it's a war. It's a war going on. And if you don't think you at war, you probably already lost, straight up. If you don't look at it as a war like I do, you probably already lost. And I'm not saying I won every battle straight up because I'm not perfect. But I will say this. If you are in the fight, then be in the fight. If you're gonna lay down and lose, then chances are you probably weren't in the war to begin with. You can lose some battles, but don't lose the war. You must win the war. It's a difficult battle for young men, and ain't nobody gonna come and tell you these things. But I'll say this: as far as men being enticed by this stuff, it is your job. It's nobody else's job to understand your struggles. Only God will understand. And you're going to have to get other men around you that are going the same direction as you that can hold you accountable. Don't expect these women to understand, especially these modern women who say, all men are addicted to pornography. And they don't understand that a whole generation of men has been indoctrinated since the age of 11. They don't care. We just need you to stop looking at it. Okay. It's hard to do. And you need male role models. You need godly guidance. It's going to be difficult. But through Christ, you can do it. And when you do it, develop a healthy hate for this whorish, promiscuous, goofy nonsense that's going on now. And then join people in the fight against it. All right, y'all. I'm Jack Bravo. If you like what you heard, like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Peace out.